You've maybe heard about the term scooping or leaning back when you rack rest 1 or 2 kettlebells. Now this comes from this video from Pavel Tsatsouline where he and his protege demonstrate the clean, and then they talk about scooping and leaning back, which actually, when you look at the kettlebell sports style of things, is the so-called rack rest position. Great veteran, Gregory from Lebe. Now before we want to get started, this video is not here to attack Pavel and his protege or to offer a critique that isn't valid. This is not about getting views, it's about just clearing things up where I think maybe they got it wrong, which can happen. This can happen to legends. Now, I'm incredibly grateful that Pavel brought the kettlebell to the Western world because he taught it to Steve Cotter, and then Steve Cotter taught it to me. So I'm Steve Cotter's protege. The difference is that Steve Cotter then decided to check out the Russian style of things, how the Kettlebell sport looks, what this looks like. And Pavel decided to keep working with his invention, the so-called hard style. Now to check out the video where Pavel and his protege talk about the scooping or leading back, and then I'm going to give you my comments on it.
Let's see what it looks like from the side. Note that on the bottom of every clean, Kenneth's elbows straighten out completely. Tighten your triceps. And notice his glutes and hips drive all the way to the top. The feet keep driving into the deck. Thank you, Kenneth. You have no business progressing to heavier bells until you've double cleaned 2 bells with perfect form 10 times. Cheating is out of the question. There are different ways you can cheat in the double clean. Kenneth, how do you scoop? Where do you scoop?
Well, scooping would look something like this.
And it's easy, isn't it?
Very easy.
Comrade, it's easy, but we don't do easy around here, so don't scoop, don't even think about it. Looking up might encourage you to scoop because your body follows your head. You look up, your body goes back. Don't do it. Look down at the horizon.
Now let's check out the video with some feedback and some comments. Now, as you can see, when they talk about the double clean, Kenneth, he goes almost into a squat using the power of his quads, whereas in the Russian style, the Kettlebell sport, you just hinge. You don't go down in a squat. Even though some people do it, it may be preference, but it's mostly a hinge movement. Now, also notice what Pavel said. He said when Kenneth goes down into the backswing with both kettlebells, then he has to straighten his arms and really get some tension on the triceps. Now, and that's what the hard style is all about as far as I'm concerned and as far as I understand it. It's all about powering up your muscles and burning energy and always keeping everything tense and tight. And in the Kettlebell sport, the kettlebell sport, it's completely different. It's about working efficiently. And now, this is not about the debate, which is better. Of course, I'm biased. I think the kettlebell sport style is the best way to train with kettlebells. The only thing that we can really say where both parties may agree on is the kettlebell sport style is more efficient, whereas the hard style has the idea to burn as much energy as possible in a very short time frame. Now,
Looks like from the side.
as you can see, when you're down in a squat, it's almost a part of a squat, a partial squat. Then your quads work more. And notice that his elbows do not really connect with the body. Now he pulls them up. So the pulling up comes from the power of his arms and not from the hips, which is also a huge differentiating factor. It's totally different.
Note that on the bottom of every clean, Kenneth's elbows straighten out completely.
Yes,
Tighten your
we have
triceps.
just talked about it.
And notice
Yeah,
his glutes and hips drive all the way to the top. The feet.
And that's interesting. He says the hips use the momentum or use the power. But if you don't connect
Driving
your
into the
arms
deck.
as tight to your body, even though here he's pretty connected,
Thank you, Ken.
then the additional energy or the additional power that come from the glutes cannot really convert into your arms because they're not connected. It's very important. So we always talk about, when we especially talk about the hand-to-hand swing, make sure that your arm stays connected to your body. So when you use the power from your hips, that this power is transferred to your arm without you having to tense your arm. So the kettlebell just keeps traveling and it's just your arm is like a hook. You need to you need the arms to connect to the kettlebell, but the power from the hips connect to your arm and use the power to drive it forward. And now, if you have the kettlebell up in the rack rest position like this, it will burn your shoulders. And the grip is something else that we could talk about, but this is not the time now. But if you have the kettlebell up there and the elbows do not connect with the iliac crest of your hip, you're not rack resting the kettlebell like we would do it in the sport, then you will burn a lot of energy from your arms. Therefore, you will have to put the kettlebell down way earlier. But as we've talked about, this is the difference. And what I just want to point out as a side note is you won't be able to manage a long cycle. It's a clean and jerk with 2 kettlebells, right? You won't be able to manage 10 minutes with that weight. You will burn. And as soon as you put the kettlebell down in the sport as an athlete, the set's over. So you have to work as efficiently as possible. Nobody who doesn't have the right technique will be able to power through 10 minutes working on a long cycle with a pretty decent weight without having to put it down.
You have no business progressing to heavier bells until you've double cleaned 2 bells with perfect form 10 times.
And I think that's something interesting. I don't know what he exactly talks about, Pavel. If he says, don't use a heavier bell if you're not able to rack 2 kettlebells, I would beg to differ. I would say, no, you could just keep working with a single weight. And we have a video about weight progression. And as soon as you master that one single kettlebell and that time limit, then you can progress to a heavier bell. Because there's 2 worlds. Mastering the singles is one part of the equation, and then mastering doubles is another part of the equations. And they're totally different. Totally different. If you master the singles, the swing, the clean and jerk, the snatch, whatever, and as soon as you pick up doubles, it's like, what? It's a whole new world. Like Aladdin used to sing.
Cheating is out of the question. There are different ways you can cheat.
That's interesting that they call it cheating.
The double clean. Kenneth, how do you scoop? Where do you scoop?
Well, scooping would look something like this.
Now, I do understand it from one perspective. If you get tired, you lean back. And if they talk about this, it may be accurate. You start leaning back because it's easier to rest it like this. However, it could be very potentially dangerous for your lower back. So a really clean rack rest position is your elbow connects with the iliac crest of your hip. You have to loosen up your upper body, upper muscles in the upper back. You have to loosen them up. Your arm has to be able to reach down, and then you have to be able to really relax the upper body portion, while at the same time tensing the lower body to make sure that you have enough power, not only to rack rest the kettlebell, because this is what gravity does. If you do it the right way, it's right below your hips and right in front of your hips and right in front of your knees where the weight goes down. So that means you will use so-called skeletal support. But it's also very important to tense the muscles when you go into the jerk or the press or the whatever you want to do, because then you're able to use your legs like a spring mechanism. So if they talk about just leaning back, which is the wrong thing, yeah. But if they talk about a rack rest position, this is not a rack rest position. This is not what a athlete does when he does a long cycle set with the kettlebell sports style.
It's easy, isn't it?
Very easy.
And now they talk about it's very easy. Now, even if you do the long cycle wrong, okay, and you rack it up here, which is not healthy for your lower back, and you're tense, okay, it may be a little easier to stand up there with the kettlebell. But I guarantee you, Kenneth, Pavel's protege, even if it does it with that form, he won't be able to power through a 10-minute set without putting the kettlebell down. So, and here's where the difference comes in, and this is where the question remains, where we need an answer to. Are they talking about just leaning back and just getting lazy? Because what he also doesn't show is most folks, if they are tired,
would look something like.
It's not only that you lean back like this. When most people get tired, they start bending their knees. because they don't have enough force in their legs or enough power to keep them locked like he does it. Most people, yes, leaning back, but most people start bending their knees. That's what we see with our clients. So the question remains, like I mentioned, is it about leaning back like this? Yeah, it's the wrong way. Doesn't mean that it's necessarily easy. And it surely is very, very dangerous and poses a high injury risk for your lower back. Or are they talking about the rack rest position from the kettlebell sport, and they make kind of a mockery out of it, saying, that's easy, that's the wrong way to do it, okay?
this.
And it's easy, isn't it?
Very easy.
Comrade, it's easy, but we don't do easy around here.
We don't do easy around here. That's Pavel's killer Russian mindset, right? And so it's, this is something else. When we talk about, it's easy, just because you don't understand the style from its truest form, I wouldn't say that hard style is easy. I see some real beasts rocking the kettlebell with a solid form in hard style and managing to push weights around that are so heavy, and these dudes are so extremely strong. So I'm not saying it's easy. It's just different. It's different. And kettlebell sport's more efficient.
So don't scoop, don't even think about it. Looking up might encourage you to scoop because your body follows your head. You look up, your body goes back. Don't do it. Look down at the horizon.
That's interesting, and that's a very good advice, actually, even if you learn the rack rest position. Because when you really look up, you lean back, and then, like I mentioned, probably your knees start to bend. So that horizon view, this is a very good advice, which I think is very, very applicable. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, consider joining the Kettlebell Club. We have a live workout schedule on this channel where we work out with the Kettlebell Club. It's only $5.95 per month. You get a lot of awesome perks if this time that you've invested with us is not only worth your time in itself, but also worth your money. We'll catch you on the next one. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Peace out.